Banished by the Galactic Council, the grand hall of the Galactic Council shimmered with light from 1,000 stars. Representatives of countless alien species filled the vast chamber, their eyes cold and unfeeling. At the center stood a single human figure, Admiral Elias Grant, the last voice of Earth. He stood straight, his uniform torn and burned from the war that had just ended. "The decision has been made," said the council speaker, a tall creature with crystal skin that glowed faintly. "Humanity is hereby exiled from all known systems. Their ships will not be allowed to enter any council-controlled space. They are to leave within one cycle." A silence followed. Not of respect, but of relief. The war had been brutal. The humans had fought with desperation, refusing to surrender even when defeat was certain. To the council, that made them dangerous. To themselves, it made them proud. Elias's voice echoed through the hall, strong despite the weight on his shoulders. "You call us monsters because we fought for our survival. You call us violent because we refused to kneel. But remember this, humanity does not die easily." Many in the hall turned away, unwilling to meet his gaze. To them, humans were a problem finally erased outside. In the dark void beyond the council's world, thousands of human ships waited. They had no home left. Earth was gone, reduced to ash after the final bombardment. The colonies were destroyed. The Allies had abandoned them. All that remained were scattered fleets, broken and tired, yet still alive. Elias returned to his flagship, the Resolute, a massive ship with scars of countless battles across its hull. The crew stood at attention, eyes fixed on their admiral. "Is it true, sir?" asked Commander Arya Vega, her voice shaking slightly. Elias nodded slowly. "Yes, Arya, the council has spoken. We are no longer welcome anywhere." A whisper spread across the bridge. Exile, no home, no allies, no safe harbor. But Elias saw something else in their faces. Not fear, but fire. The same fire that had burned in humanity since the first spark on Earth. "Set course for the Abyss," he ordered. The bridge went silent. The Abyss was a place beyond the edge of mapped space, a dark region where no ship had ever returned from. Rumors said it was a graveyard of stars, a region where the laws of physics twisted and shadows devoured light. But it was also free, untouched by the council. Beyond their control, Arya hesitated. "Sir, the Abyss is uncharted. It could mean death." Elias turned toward the viewport, watching the cold stars drift by. "Better to die free than live on our knees," he said quietly. Those words spread through the fleet like a signal. Soon, engines ignited across the void. Thousands of ships turned their noses toward the blackness ahead. Families, soldiers, scientists, all ready to leave everything behind. A new dawn for a broken species. As they entered the unknown, strange lights began to flicker in the dark. Sensors failed, communications flickered, yet no one turned back in the command room. Elias watched the endless dark grow deeper. "Maybe this is where humanity truly begins," he whispered. Behind them, the Galactic Council watched in silence. Some pitied them, others feared what they might become. Because they all knew one truth: humanity had always thrived in chaos, and exile might not be their end, but their evolution, somewhere deep in the black. An unknown signal pulsed once, faint but steady. No one noticed it yet, but it was waiting, calling. The Abyss had seen the coming of humans, and it would never be the same again. Into the Abyss, the human fleet drifted at the edge of known space, facing the dark wall of the Abyss. No stars shone there, no light escaped. It was a void that seemed alive, whispering with distant echoes on the bridge of the Resolute. Admiral Elias Grant watched the monitors flicker as static filled the screens. Every sensor failed to read what lay ahead, as if the Abyss was swallowing reality itself. "Engines ready," said Commander Arya Vega, her voice calm but tight. She had fought beside Elias for years, and even she could feel the weight of what they were about to do. Elias nodded slowly. "All ships forward thrust. Formation Delta 1. The fleet began to move, thousands of ships sliding silently into the unknown. As they crossed the invisible border, the stars behind them vanished one by one. It was like stepping into the mouth of a great beast, the light disappearing as darkness closed around them. Inside the ships, people whispered prayers, not to gods, but to their ancestors. To Earth, to memory, the Abyss was vast and cold, yet strangely quiet. Hours passed, then days. No sign of planets, no radio signals, no gravitational readings, only emptiness. But the strange part was that their power systems began to stabilize. Energy efficiency increased, even damaged ships started to function better. Dr. Lewin Tan, chief scientist aboard the Resolute, stared at the readings in disbelief. "Admiral, something in this region enhances our systems. It's like the space itself is feeding the engines." Elias frowned. "Feeding them? You mean something here wants us to stay?" Lewin hesitated. "Maybe, or maybe it's just alive." That word hung in the air. Alive. The abyss wasn't just a place. It was something else. Something that was watching. The deeper they went, the more strange things appeared. Faint lights drifted in the void, moving like creatures under an ocean. Sometimes they looked like ships, sometimes like shadows. And sometimes they looked back on the fifth day. The fleet detected a signal, faint but human. "Impossible," Arya whispered. "No human colonies exist out here." Elias leaned closer. "Trace it," the signal repeated in broken English. "Help. Station. Alive." Following it, they found a massive structure floating in the dark. A human research station but it shouldn't exist. Its markings were from the old Sol Federation, an organization that had fallen more than 2 centuries ago. How is that possible? Lewin muttered. "This station is older than our fleet." They docked carefully, sending in a small team. The halls of the station were empty, silent, but power still hummed through the walls. Old logs showed strange research, experiments with energy from the abyss, attempts to communicate with it. The last entry said, "The abyss speaks. We are not alone. It wants to learn us." Arya looked at Elias, fear in her eyes. "Sir, we should leave." "This place is wrong." But before Elias could answer, the lights across the fleet flickered again. A deep vibration rolled through space like a heartbeat. Then came the voice, not human, not machine, but something vast and distant. It spoke through every ship's speaker in 1,000 tones at once. "You entered the silence. Now you are seen." The fleet trembled as systems surged with unknown energy. Elias gripped the console, shouting orders. "Shut down comms. Stabilize reactors," but the energy wouldn't stop. It flowed into every ship like a flood. Lewin's voice rose. "It's not attacking, it's connecting." In that moment, every human felt something in their minds. A presence. Deep and cold, it wasn't words, it was understanding. A question without sound. It asked them why. Why they came, why they fought, why they survived. And humanity answered not with fear, but with defiance. Because survival was their nature, because they never gave up. The presence withdrew, the light steadied, and the silence returned. Elias looked out into the dark and whispered, "It knows us now." Arya turned to him. "What happens next?" He smiled faintly. "We keep moving, Arya. We make this place ours." The fleet moved again, deeper into the endless black. Behind them, the ancient station faded into shadow, and somewhere ahead the abyss pulsed again, slower, softer, as if it was breathing, as if it was waiting. The abyss response days turned into weeks as the human fleet sailed through the endless dark. The abyss seemed alive, watching, waiting, learning. Every day, new strange readings appeared, energy surges, gravitational ripples, lights that danced like living stars. Yet nothing attacked them, nothing stopped them. It was as if the abyss was testing them. Admiral Elias Grant stood on the command bridge, staring into the dark beyond the viewport. Behind him, Commander Arya Vega reported quietly, "All ships remain stable, Admiral. Power levels are beyond anything we've seen before. Even damaged reactors are running at full capacity." Elias nodded. "Good, but stay alert. Something out there is paying attention to us." Dr. Lewin Tan entered, holding a data pad filled with glowing readings. "Admiral, we've discovered something remarkable," she said, her voice trembling with excitement. "The abyss's energy isn't just random. It reacts to human thought, to emotion. When our crew feels fear or hope, the energy patterns change, almost like it's responding to us." Elias frowned. "Responding how?" Lewin pointed to a chart. "When morale is high, the ships become more efficient. When fear spreads, the systems weaken. The abyss seems to amplify what we feel." Arya's eyes widened. "You mean?" "It understands us." Lewin nodded. "In a way, yes. It's learning who we are. That night, as the fleet continued its slow drift, something massive appeared on the sensors, a shape darker than space itself, kilometers long, gliding silently ahead. It had no lights, no engines, no clear form, just a silhouette of something ancient. The crew stared in silence as the shadow passed across the front of their formation. Then a low hum echoed through every ship, like the sound of a giant breathing. The voice came again, deep and resonant. You came seeking a home, you bring war. You bring memory. It wasn't threatening, but curious. Elias stepped forward, almost instinctively speaking to the void. We came because we had nowhere else to go. We were cast out. We only want to survive. The voice seemed to linger as if considering his words. Survive, yes, you always survive. Your kind burns worlds. Yet you rise from ashes. Elias clenched his fists. We adapt because we must. We are human. Silence followed. Then the stars around them shifted. A path of faint blue light appeared ahead. Stretching deeper into the abyss, Arya gasped. It's showing us the way. Elias looked at her, his expression calm but heavy. Then we follow it. The fleet adjusted course, engines humming softly as they entered the glowing path. For the first time since exile, there was a sense of direction, of purpose. Days later, the path led them to a strange world, a planet half hidden in mist, orbiting a dim, dying star. The scanners showed oxygen, water, and strange energy signatures matching the abyss's pulse. Elias stared at the readings. A living world inside the abyss, Lywin whispered. It's impossible. Everything about this place is impossible, Elias said. Prepare landing teams. When they descended through the atmosphere, the sky shimmered with silver light. The surface was covered with black glassy plains and glowing rivers. Yet it was beautiful, silent, vast, untouched. The air felt heavy but breathable as the humans stepped out. The ground beneath their feet pulsed faintly, as if the planet was aware of them. Suddenly the wind changed, and forms began to rise from the ground. Shadows shaped like figures, tall, shifting, translucent. They had no faces, only outlines of something once alive. Arya raised her weapon. Contact. Unknown entities. But Elias raised a hand. Wait. One of the figures moved closer, its form flickering like a hologram. Then it spoke in broken English. Humans. Return. Again. Lewin's breath caught. Again? They've seen humans before. Elias stepped forward, his voice steady. Who are you? The figure tilted its head. We were the first to enter the abyss. We became part of it. We are the lost. Elias felt a chill run down his spine. The lost. You mean the old station crew? Yes, and more, the figure replied. The abyss remembers all who touch it. It offers power, but demands truth. The ground trembled, and the figures began to fade. Before vanishing, one whispered, It knows your pain. It will test your heart. Then they were gone, the mist closing around them. Elias looked to Arya and Lewin, his expression unreadable. The abyss is not our enemy, he said softly. It's something else. Maybe a judge. Back on the Resolute, the crew prepared for what came next. They didn't know what the abyss wanted or what it would show them. But one thing was clear, it had chosen to speak, and it would speak again, far beyond their senses. The shadow they had seen earlier moved once more. Its eyes, if they were eyes, opened like dying stars reigniting. The abyss was waking up, and humanity was now part of its story. Echoes of the lost, the world beneath the dying star, became humanity's first home inside the abyss. They named it Haven. Though it was anything but peaceful, every day, the planet shifted. Rivers of light changed paths, black storms rose from the horizon, and the ground trembled with a heartbeat that was not its own. Still, humanity worked. They built shelters from their broken ships, planted machines in the soil, and tried to live again. Admiral Elias Grant stood on a cliff overlooking the glowing plains. He had seen war, exile, and death. But this place was different. It was quiet, too quiet, as if the entire world was listening. Behind him, Commander Arya Vega approached, her boots crunching softly on the glassy ground. Sir, construction teams report progress, she said. But the workers, They're hearing things, whispers, dreams that don't feel like theirs. Elias turned slowly, his expression hard. Whispers, Arya nodded. Voices calling their names, sometimes showing them places that don't exist, like memories that aren't theirs. Before Elias could answer, Dr. Lewintan's voice came through the comms, urgent and trembling. Admiral, you need to see this. Now, inside the research dome, the air shimmered with static energy. Lywin stood before a glowing sphere of black light. It floated above the lab table, pulsing like a heartbeat. This formed from the planet's surface, she said. It's made of the same energy that powers our ships, but it's... Aware. Elias frowned. Aware. Lewin nodded slowly. It reacts to human presence, especially emotion. When I felt fear, it dimmed. When I felt hope, it grew brighter. As they watched, the sphere pulsed again, and faint images appeared inside it. Faces, human faces, crying, shouting, whispering words they couldn't hear. One image froze Elias in place. A young woman, smiling softly. It was his daughter, lost years ago in the final war. Elias stepped forward, voice shaking. That's not possible. The sphere pulsed brighter, and a voice echoed in the room. We remember what you remember. We hold what you lose. Arya stepped back, whispering. It's showing us our dead. Lewin's eyes were wide. It's not just showing, it's feeling them. The abyss copies memory, emotion, life itself. The room shook and the image changed again. Now they saw a city, human buildings, standing tall and clean, filled with people laughing. Living, but it wasn't real, Elias whispered. It's what we wish for. The abyss was showing them their greatest desire. Their lost home, their hope, but hope came with a price. Suddenly, alarms blared across the fleet. A nearby ship, the Horizon, was losing control, spinning wildly in orbit. Elias and Arya rushed to the command center. Report. Elias shouted, Sir, the crew. They're seeing things, said the officer. They claim to see their families on board. They refuse to leave their stations. The transmission flickered, showing the bridge of the Horizon. The crew sat motionless, staring at nothing, their faces calm and smiling. Then the screen went dark. Moments later, the ship imploded, silent and swift, leaving only a ripple of blue light in the void. Silence filled the command room. Lewin's voice broke the stillness. The abyss isn't killing them. It's taking them. Elias gripped the console. It's testing us, seeing if we can resist what we most desire. Arya looked up at him. And if we can't, then we become part of it, he said quietly. That night Elias couldn't sleep. He walked outside beneath the glowing sky, the planet pulsing softly beneath his boots. He felt a presence near him, familiar and gentle. When he turned, he saw her, his daughter standing only a few feet away. Smiling, Dad, she said softly, her voice warm and real. You don't have to fight anymore. We can go home. His heart ached. Every part of him wanted to believe, but he knew deep down this was not her. He closed his eyes, whispering, You're gone. The image flickered, then faded into mist, and the voice of the abyss whispered in the wind, You chose truth over comfort. You endure. The next morning, the fleet awoke to find the sphere of light gone. In its place was a single message burned into the lab's wall. The test begins. Those who seek to live must face the echoes. Elias stood in silence. His expression set. The abyss is done watching, he said. Now it wants to see what we truly are. The ground beneath Haven trembled once again, and deep below the surface, something ancient began to stir. Not human, not alien, but something born of the abyss itself. The next trial had begun, and humanity was standing on the edge of awakening something far greater than themselves. The abyss remembers. The human fleet had survived the first trials of the abyss, but nothing had prepared them for what came next. Haven pulsed like a living heart beneath their feet. The rivers of light flowed faster. The black plains shimmered with strange energy, and the air itself seemed to hum. Admiral Elias Grant stood on the command deck of the Resolute. His eyes were tired, but his resolve was stronger than ever. We've learned its language in a way, he said, voice low. Now we must show it who we are. Not as exiles, not as victims, but as humans. Commander Aria Vega approached, her expression serious. The echoes continue, sir. The fleet reports visions of lost worlds, lost families, even lost enemies. Elias nodded. The abyss remembers everything we have done, every choice we've made. It is testing our spirit. Dr. Liwentan joined them, her datapad glowing with fluctuating readings. Sir, the abyss reacts to our collective will, she said. When we act with courage, the energy strengthens. When we hesitate, it falters. Elias clenched his fists. Then we act. We show it the truth of humanity. The first step was simple, yet terrifying. The humans had to enter the deepest part of Haven, a crater filled with black glass and flowing energy. The abyss itself seemed to pulse in anticipation. As the landing teams descended, the ground shifted beneath them, forming shapes of long-lost cities, forests, and oceans. Visions that could drive a person mad if they stared too long. Elias led the way, feeling the pull of every memory, every desire. He saw Earth rising before him, forests untouched by fire, oceans deep and blue, and his family alive. His heart ached with longing, but he pressed forward, ignoring the illusions, focusing on the present, on survival, on truth. The abyss responded, the energy around them coiling and spinning. A voice spoke deep and resonant. You resist comfort, you endure loss, you embrace truth. The ground shook, and from the black glass rose forms of the lost, humans from forgotten stations, colonies destroyed, fleets lost to time. They were not enemies, not ghosts, but echoes, memories preserved by the abyss, and they bowed to the living, acknowledging humanity's strength. Aria's voice broke through the tremor. Sir, the echoes are joining us. They are helping. Elias nodded. The abyss wants unity. It sees potential. It offers partnership. Ships across Haven hummed with newfound energy, shields and weapons enhanced by the planet's pulse. Humanity was no longer just surviving. They were growing stronger, learning from the abyss itself. But then, a ripple of darkness swept through the fleet. A presence unlike before, ancient and vast, emerged from the heart of Haven. It was not a voice, but a thought, a sensation. I remember you humans, the chaos you bring, the fire in your hearts. You are feared, yet you endure. Elias stepped forward, raising his hand. We are human. We survive. We build. We protect. We learn. The abyss pulsed in response. Waves of energy rolling across the land and sky. For hours, the world trembled, and the fleet felt every pulse. Then silence fell, soft and final. The echoes faded, leaving only the humans standing on the black plains. Haven had accepted them. The abyss remembered them, and in doing so, it had given humanity a new home. Free from the Council's judgment, free from exile. Elias looked out across the glowing rivers and black plains. Aria and Lewin stood beside him, their faces filled with awe. We are no longer exiles, Elias whispered. We are humans of the abyss, and this is only the beginning. From the sky above, the abyss pulsed faintly, a heartbeat in the darkness, a promise of knowledge, power, and challenges yet to come. The humans had claimed their place, not through conquest, not through fear, but through endurance, courage, and truth. And the galaxy would never forget them. Somewhere far beyond, the Galactic Council received faint readings from the abyss. Sensors flickered. Reports came in. But nothing they knew could prepare them for what humans had become. For humanity had touched the edge of the unknown, survived and risen stronger. And in the dark, infinite abyss, their story had only just begun.